We'll see how this goes.
I'm anticipating a blooper reel.
Oh my gosh. But I just told him, I'm like, I don't really edit anything out, so the whole video may end up being a blooper reel. So I'm Amy. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back, hopefully, to those that are coming back, and welcome for the first time, anyone that's new. I was in MLMs.
Well, hold on a second.
Hold on.
You can't introduce you.
I will. Give me a second. I was in MLMs for many years, in various ones. The one that impacted me the most was Beachbody, in my opinion. But for this Manipulation Monday, I decided to bring my husband on. And we're going to get his perspective on some things. So this is my husband, Rin. You're killing me, Smalls.
Yes, I like my...
Do you want to go Rin or Curran?
Well, you know.
Rin is the nickname.
Friends, colleagues.
Yeah.
You know, coworkers. I'll call me Rin. Curran is what my family knows me as.
Yeah.
So either suit me well, and I like either. So whichever. All
right. So he's going to bring a pretty interesting perspective to this, I think. Oh,
I'm just going to have fun with this.
So. Okay, so I can tell you guys how it started, which was, I said, okay, here's the question that I asked today, and then we're going to go through the responses, and I want to see if you felt like I was manipulated in that same way. And he said, or that you manipulated others in that way. I was like, oh.
Hurtful,
but yeah, like, I mean, because
it happened, unfortunately.
It's the truth. And
yeah.
and it goes to show that yes, you can be both a victim and a perpetrator at the same time. You absolutely can. And that's one of the reasons that I'm doing these YouTube videos and doing this channel, is to try and right some of those wrongs. Mm-hmm. And it's not fair to call others out and not own up to what I did, because I did some of the crappy things too. So I had posted earlier on my stories of how do you feel Beachbody, because most people come to me for Beachbody content, or any MLM manipulated you. Mm-hmm. And you guys, the responses were killing me. And there are some that are kind of repeated. And I think that goes to show one of the things that I didn't realize. I thought it was me. I thought, like, am I the only one who feels like they're busting their butt all the time and not getting anywhere? Am I the only one who's feeling, you know, like I'm not good enough, or that I'm not losing enough weight to be a product of the product? Or, I mean, there were so many things that I thought that it was just me. And as I have found the community in anti-MLM, it's not. It is not just me, and it's not just you. And it's not just the MLM that you were in. It is an industry-wide thing. They are all the same.
Ooh, can we call it a phenomenon?
Ooh, good word. Was that the toilet paper word of the day? We don't have that, but I wouldn't mind it. Okay. So, and he mentioned... Because honestly, I don't know that I've even really gone back to this. I was in Primerica, and we were trying to just discuss about when we thought it was. It was probably like 2003, 2004.
Yep. But this was one of the first MLMs that you felt, you know, not only drawn to, but you were like, ooh, you should be a part of this with me, and let's go get our licenses together, and let's go.
Well, let's be real. It was because his friend roped me in.
It's true.
And it made more sense for me to do it at the time. Yep. And anyway, so we may get into some Primerica stuff. Okay, so the first one was they made me believe that we all had the chance to succeed if we work hard enough and just kept going.
So that is... to use the phenomenon word, that is a cultural MLM phenomenon. Like that happens across any MLM that you are a part of.
So just today,
and I was an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
But I see that every time you and I looked at an MLM, that was the case.
Well, and the interesting thing, so right now the top 10 coaches from Beachbody are on a all expense paid trip to Italy, while their stock is totally tanking, by the way, makes 0 sense. And they're being total butts about it. Just side note. One of the coaches, she was number 5 or 6.
Yeah.
She was complaining that her room had a bad view. And I'm like, you're on an all expense paid trip to Italy. Suck it up. Anyway.
I'm sorry. I would like any view.
Right. I'm like, you're in Italy.
Let's just put that out there.
And honestly, how much time are you going to be spending in your room? Like, yeah, but anyway, so she paid for her own upgrade to get a better room. And she was like, I mean, if you go look at this other girl's balcony, hers is much better. I'm like, well, she was also number 1 and you're number 6. So, but anyway.
Oh, the shade.
I'm snarky.
I love the shade.
It's been a long day. But here's the thing. So she posted a photo of her team today. And she's like, it's because of you girls that I am here, which is totally true. She could not have done this without her team. And she said, I hope you're here with me next year. She's making them think that they can do this. You guys, the 10 represent 0.0025% of all Beachbody coaches. 0.0025%. Are they going to be there next year? No, they're not. And is she going to be there next year? Probably, because she's done it 10 times. Well, actually, she's 10 times elite. I don't know how many times she's been in the top 10, but I think like 6. And she's going to continue to be in the top 10 because of how she is. And so telling your team that I did this and you can too is so deceptive, because I want to know how many of her team has actually done it.
It would be an interesting statistic to take a look at, and to try and reconcile the numbers against the work and the effort being put together.
I would check into it more if she hadn't blocked me.
Again,
can I use your phone?
Yes.
All right.
You can totally use my phone.
All right. Actually, a lot of the top 10 blocked me.
I wonder why.
I don't understand.
It couldn't be the snark, right?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right.
This one really, okay. They used my mental illnesses against me and made me feel as though I couldn't question things.
All right. So this is an interesting one because, bear with me. Okay. Bear with me. This is interesting from 2 perspectives.
Okay.
The before perspective, before you and I realized what type of mental illness that is in,
that I have,
that you have, that our children have. Mm-hmm. And so there's that's the after. So now we know it and we look back and we go, oh, this answers a lot of questions. And then in the before, we didn't know. And we asked ourselves so many questions around this about why does it continue to happen this way? Why do we continue to see these results and these things? And why am I feeling the way I'm feeling irregardless of the results or the things that I'm doing and or my team are doing? Well,
and why am I pulled into multiple MLMs? Mm-hmm. And I think, so for me, it's OCD, and also anxiety and depression. I mean, I've got a history with all of them, but the OCD we didn't realize till just within the last 2.5 years.
But what do you think about those 2 perspectives?
Oh, I think absolutely, because for me, I struggle with, and this is what we have children that struggle with this, is scrupulosity. So the worry that I'm like not doing it right, that I'm not good enough, like I'm not, and so I would end up going above and beyond. I would be like, well, I used to train in human resources on personality types, so I will do that training for you. I will, like, I felt like I could never do enough.
But it wasn't that until we've learned that that's what it was. What we thought it was your drive and your competitiveness. We really associated it more to that and less to the idea that it wasn't ever going to be good enough, and you just had to continue pushing without the realization that it was ever going to be good enough. And that was the challenge.
Well, and I think it's also twofold, which is also, it also totally screwed me over mentally with the food. Mm-hmm. Because I was like, all of these other coaches are doing this. Why can't I do this? Why can I never do things right? And it would get the anxiety and the depression up because you have to be a product of the product. And, you know, obviously this program works because it has worked for all these other people. What is wrong with you? And I would internalize that. I'm like, you're right. What is wrong with me? And I didn't realize.
Well, if you look at it, you were kind of a perfect storm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you misread that it was all around drive and, you know, motivation, and the motivation kicked in the anxiety, and the anxiety kicked in the OCD, and the OCD kicked in. But we didn't understand that those things were triggers. We had no idea. And then when you tacked on the food disorder, and when you tacked on the compulsive behavior around the number of times you had to exercise, and the fact that you felt like you had to exercise not only for the product, but for yourself, by the time we were done, you were a hot mess.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into some of the other things with that a little bit down here, because here's this one. Their super trainers made me afraid of certain foods for a while. And that is so true. And there was another one down here.
Hold on. Let's talk about that one for a second.
But this one ties into that you can only eat a half of a banana.
That's so ridiculous.
And a fourth a cup of oatmeal.
Yeah.
Right? So that kind of plays into that. Like, it was like, well, a banana has way too much sugar, so half a banana.
So I have not officially talked to you about this or even admitted this, but I'm gonna do it.
This may be the first video I edit.
Nope. No, this is okay. This is all right.
Okay.
Because this is about me.
Oh.
This is about me. This is what I'm gonna say.
Then spill.
Right, exactly. Some of that, the food and the type of food and what you could and couldn't spilled over to me. Mm-hmm. Because what was so difficult was she would judge me about what I was eating or how I was handling certain things. And then she would get mad at me, angry, and then I would internalize it. I would be like, I'm not good enough. Yeah. And I'm trying to be, you know, her partner in life and all things and live up to these expectations. But the expectations that were being driven were not her expectations, but they were a product of the product. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't, you know, toe the line, so to speak. I mean, that's a horrible way to say it. But if I didn't participate, I'll word it that way. If I didn't participate, it could get...
Well, and it was also...
It was a struggle for us in our marriage.
And you were also told, like, if your partner isn't doing it with you, they're not supporting you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the other video... Apparently, you just need to have sex with them and everything will be fine.
And then they'll do whatever you want them to do. Do whatever you want. Guess what? It doesn't work that way.
No.
I will tell you, too, though, that through this journey, I learned a lot about my kidney disease. Mm-hmm. So there were some benefits that came out of this. Yeah. Because I quickly started saying to Amy, stop. Hold on. There's something not right about this. And when I would go talk to my nephrologist and my urologist, they're like, "You're doing what?"
Well, and this goes into one of these things too, that portion, like someone said, portion fix was the way to eat for portion size and balance. And it was super hard to unlearn, but it was like, obviously this works for everybody, because otherwise why would we be selling this? It doesn't work for everybody. Well, there were some good things that it taught me. Mm-hmm. And taught us, and same thing, when I did Prove It and we were doing keto, we did learn a lot of things that maybe didn't interact with our bodies as well as we thought. And side note, they're different things for each of us because we're different people.
Yep.
And this one killed me too, because someone said, don't let your kids see you eat junk, only healthy foods. You guys, I can't even tell you the number of times that I ate things in my car.
And how damaging how damaging that mentality is not only being shared with others, but it is being promoted. That's not healthy. It's not.
Do you want to hear what someone said?
Sure.
The answer someone else said was, my mom took my yummy treats away. That was Samantha.
Okay. Well, it's on its merit. It's still kind of sad.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Her favorite thing is Reese's, and that's also one of my favorite things. And if it was here, I was eating it.
That's really funny.
Right? Our kids are amazing. A mom challenge that then guilted you into joining to give your babies a better life. It was amazing how often we were told, sacrifice now so that you can enjoy later. But guess what? I can't get the time back when our youngest was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, we can enjoy different things now, but I would never be able to enjoy them as a 2-year-old again. And it wasn't all fun. Declan was a hot mess.
Well, there's something to be said about living present.
Mm-hmm.
And being present with your spouse, with your children, with your partner, with whoever is, there to enjoy life with you, that we are to be present. And that is what is so important, because if we're not, those moments come and go and they don't come back.
Well, and I'm going to do a video at some point talking to whichever of our children want to participate in like how I impacted them with some of the things, not only trying to work the business, but also food wise, and the things that you're passing on to your kids that you're not even necessarily realizing. And you think that I am passing on good habits. I'm sorry. Being like, does anyone want the rest of my banana because I can't have it? No, that's not okay. And
here's what I found.
Siri's finding some information from us.
About
Seriously,
half a banana.
I'm waiting for her to say, you are crazy. But yeah, it definitely impacted the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And because I did the grocery shopping, I just wouldn't buy stuff because I could not trust myself around things because I was restricting so many things. If it was in the house, I was going to eat it. Because I would hold off for so long that then eventually your body, like, you just can't continue to do it. And I would binge.
But it would cascade, though, into our relationships
mm-hmm.
with each other and with our children.
And how I felt about myself.
Uh-huh.
Which then it impacted us a lot. And it impacted, it impacted everything with that.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I think that they truly cared about a healthy lifestyle. And this to me, and I still, whenever I see videos, you guys know how I feel about, Autumn and Alana both. Like, they are constantly talking about weight and diet culture, and like, they do not want to promote a healthy lifestyle. They want to promote a diet because that is how they get paid. Yeah. Autumn did this reel where she's like tiptoeing and she's like sneaking away from sneaky sugars. Yeah, except for the ones that you allow because they're in Beachbody products that you're trying to sell. Like, so don't say you're sneaking away from hidden sugars, but you can have 10 grams because that will cover your Energize and your Shakeology. No, like, that's not how it works unless you're simply trying to make sales. And you see this, to me, I see it in some of the coaches that you can tell there's some cognitive dissonance and they're not happy in what they're doing, but they're in so deep that they can't not do it.
At this point, it's become an obligation.
Well, and they've retired their spouse.
Right.
It is their sole source of income.
But that's the obligation I'm talking about, is they've told this story so many times, they feel they have to live it, mm-hmm. even though it's not true.
It's not. And they're not truly living healthy lifestyles. And you see them Like, honestly, I feel like some of them are spiraling and we're watching it in real time, and it's awful and it's scary. And it's being promoted to thousands. And that's the scariest thing to me.
All right. What's next? What do you got?
You can replace your full-time income. Do you want to talk about income?
Ooh, let's do it. Let's have that conversation.
No, let's not.
No, let's have that conversation. Okay, so
he was so patient with me. That is all I can say. He'd be like, Amy, have you looked? I'm like, no, this is gonna work. And he's like, you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls.
We are going to title this episode, You're Killing Me, Smalls.
That's true.
All right, so she was working her MLM, and I am a corporate jockey. Mm-hmm. I'm going to call myself that. Mm-hmm. And what was fascinating was we would have these conversations about cost and revenue, that return, right? And we would look at the P&L, the profit and loss, and every month it just kept going down. And I kept running a running average, and I'm like, hey, Aim, have you looked? No, I don't want it. It's going to work. I'm like, but Aim, I just want to, no, I don't want to.
Because they get you to believe that you're almost at the tipping point, right? So you work and work and work, and then you hit like a thing where it's like, and now you're there. That never happens. And you watch these coaches. So it's super fascinating to watch the top coaches. Their coaches who got them to where they are now are no longer with them. They are constantly on this hamster wheel to replace.
It's churn and burn.
It is. So when we were in Punta Cana, I don't know how many upline, whatever. When she went to Punta Cana this year, there was one person that was in Punta Cana when we were there that was with her this year. Everyone else is gone. And I think she only had 4 people with her. And when we went, there were like 20 of us maybe that were there. And so you watch them and it's like, you think you're going to replace your income and that you're going to hit that point. They talk about like residual income. No, you're always going to be on a hamster wheel for, and for me, it was for nothing. Actually.
So there was a time where I believed, because I believe in my wife 100%, and I still do. There was a time, though, that I believed that the business itself that she was in could yield a profit, that she could bring home, and that I would eventually be able to stay home and do more of the, home things that her and I had been talking about and how to really do in early retirement and so on and so forth. That then quickly shifted to, oh, hell, I've got to find a way
to make more money to finance this.
To make more money.
Well, and then what would be so hard, and it's true of Beachbody, but I definitely noticed it a lot more with Prove It. The amount of product that you had to order, because it was always something else. It was always a new flavor. It was always, something else that they're adding to it or whatever. Prove It was a lot worse with that than Beachbody is. Although, Beachbody...
I don't know. They've stepped up their game.
Beachbody has stepped up their game with the bike and the...
Exactly, which is probably why they're...
Right? And not only the bike, but then they're like...
I just want to make explosion sounds.
You can. They're a hot mess. They're blown up all over the place. And so I think that's why they're like, oh, well, you have to pay for early access to this, and you have to pay for this, and you have to pay for this, and why they're doing a price increase.
Right, yeah.
They just... So it is this hamster wheel, though, of you can make an income at this. And I think I've said this before. I did make more money with Prove It than I did with Beachbody.
But you got in earlier with Prove It than you did with Beachbody.
And because I had built up a community within Beachbody, they went with me to Prove It. So I didn't have to work as hard right at the beginning, not getting anything. Like, I had a huge customer base right at the beginning. And that definitely...
Yeah, it offset.
Made a big difference. And so I think that's probably why... Okay, so there's a couple things. These I'm going to put in because I wanted a legit fitness business. You aren't selling, you're sharing. Whenever I see someone...
Hold on. They said that? They said you're not selling, you're sharing?
That's what they say all the time. Or they're saying, I get paid to work out and share my journey. No, you're a salesperson.
What? No. Okay, I had not heard that one.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Because otherwise, like, where do I cash that stupid check? Do you guys know how many workouts I did?
No kidding.
They don't pay you per workout.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have made a butt ton of money. Anyway.
We could have actually retired.
We could have, because I was working out all the time.
I mean, she was probably putting in, I'm going to go on a limb here, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day.
There, on my...
For a while. There,
on my business.
On your business.
And then, I mean, because this is also... And wanting the legit fitness business, that is what I wanted. I wanted to truly be helping people.
Yep.
And my passion was never... the food part of it. It was always the workouts. And that's why I got certified to teach them.
Yeah.
And then because of like the way that I am, anytime someone was sick, absolutely I will take your class. And so I was teaching, I don't know, sometimes I think I taught 5 classes in a day once. And then I got home and I'm like, you're going to have to shower me because I can't lift my arms. Like I'm done. It was awful. And the things that I did to my body that I'm now kind of paying for.
Right.
Not kind of. I'm totally paying for. Nope. But someone said I had to double up on workouts if I skipped a day. And I was militant about that.
But you were the same way.
Oh, yeah.
You'd come home and you'd be like, I missed yesterday. I have to be better today.
Yeah. And okay, yeah, I'm supposed to teach 5 classes today, but that doesn't count. And he'd be like, what? Like, what do you mean it doesn't count?
But and I would try so hard to help her reconcile that it does count. And she would say, no, let me. And she would walk me through the Beachbody process. No lie. No lie. She would be like, let me show you. And I would just shake my head and be like, I love you, babe.
Yes, I will shower you when you're done. You're fine. But I mean, it did get to that point, and it was like, well, no, I have to do my own workout. Because in my mind, I was thinking, well, I have to be a product of the product, and whatever the newest program is, I have to be doing that program, and I have to be showing that. But it's like, at some point, you have to wonder, what are the results coming from? Mm-hmm. The results weren't, because I was working out all the time.
Yeah.
And, then you start to get results and you're like, okay, what do I really attribute this to? Which I think a lot of people fall into when they first start Beachbody is you're like, oh my gosh, their products are amazing. Well, but if you had done any program where you started to focus more on physical activity, started to look more at what you are eating and being like, okay, can I make choices that will make me feel better sometimes? Yes. If you did all of those things, you would have pretty good success no matter what you were doing. So is it really Beachbody? And how do you tell? How do you know? Is it Shakeology? Is it a workout program? Is it because you're changing everything at once?
Right.
So what is it?
So what we haven't talked about is what I do for a living. And I'm in the technology space. And in the technology space, when you're troubleshooting something, you don't change multiple things at a time to try and figure out what the problem is. You change one thing because you use it as a control, right? Everything else stays the same. You change one thing, and then that tells you if you're moving in the right direction or not. And you watch these health programs and the way that they're trying to address health and body and image and gut and mental and physical, all the things. And then they will lump them all in and attribute, it's because you drank Shakeology. Oh, it's because you had ketones. Oh, no, it's because you drank your workout, your pre-workout. She was all about pre-workout.
I was drinking it
all the time.
All the time.
So we had no idea what was working, what wasn't working, and we would have to reset just to try and figure out what to change next to see if we would get a different result.
Well, and And too, so this kind of goes into what someone else said, that, you know, coaches who have surgery, Botox, etc., and claim it's because of collagen and Beachbody fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
And the number of these coaches that have had surgery is astounding. And some of them, like, they'll get breast augmentations, or some of them they will get explants as well, because they find out that they're ill from their breast implants, and so they'll get them out.
What happens if they have a third nipple?
Like Chandler Bing?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, I think you should capitalize on that sucker. That was funny.
See, I told you I was gonna.
See, and I knew exactly where you were going. I'm like, all right, Chandler.
No. Pivot.
But the ones, like, I know there is one specific coach that I can think of who had a full mommy makeover, like tummy tuck, liposuction, boobs, whole 9 yards.
The works.
And now she's doing before and afters with programs. And how can you do that and be okay with it?
Yeah, no.
And that I think is where a lot of that was kind of my tipping point. And I've mentioned this before, when, you know, my upline was doing totally false before and afters. And I was like, what are you doing? Or you'll see them and they're clearly photoshopped. And it's so frustrating because they're putting out this unattainable standard. And they're saying, you know, you can do this too. Well, yeah, anybody can if you have enough money. Like, no, that's not what is happening. You're doing this by surgery. You're not doing it from Beachbody. And it's fascinating too. I know the current #1 coach who cries every day because she has now lost 100 pounds. But the way in which she has done that has not been completely on the up and up, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's not honest. It's not an honest representation of the work.
Well, and she doesn't state that when she got the most results was when she was doing 75 hard.
Exactly.
That's not a Beachbody program.
Yeah.
You were doing 75 hard. You know, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Or that, you know, you intentionally maybe gain a lot of weight during a pregnancy so that you can then have an amazing transformation after. Yeah. These are the things that they also tell you to do. Like, oh my gosh, if any of you are wanting to have a baby, super good for your business.
Well, the thing that I find interesting is it's all a marketing tactic. And what they'll do is they'll be like, oh, you're going to have a baby? Let me teach you how to market that. Oh, you want to transition from this to this? Oh, you're weightlifting? Oh, you're doing this. Let me teach you how to market that, right? Oh, this is the new program or whatever. Let me teach you how to market that. Let me teach you how to go after this demographic of individuals. And this is how you market that to those individuals. And that's where the real shame is over and over again.
The vulnerabilities.
It's the vulnerabilities.
Going after people with vulnerabilities, and you know, and really that's what it boils down to with all of these things is they find where you are the weakest and then exploit it. Mm-hmm. And someone put here too, I should be able to do everything even though I'm a working mom. And I see that frequently still, you know, oh, do it in the cracks of time, you know, when you're on your break. When you are on your break from your 9 to 5, you need a break.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about I should be able to do everything as a working parent. No. You're spot on. Okay. You're spot on. I want to bring a different perspective from a corporate side.
Yeah.
Okay. So I work 8 to 5, right? Mm-hmm. Theoretically. Okay. And in that time frame, we can't get everything done. There isn't enough time
Have you ever finished every single thing?
No.
Like, it's just not possible.
Not possible. And so the idea that we work with and that we teach, and by the way, I'm one of the top of my field.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that. My wife knows it. I crush it.
We worked really hard to get to this point.
We have.
Yeah.
And it's been a team effort. Yeah. It's my career, but she supports what it is that I'm delivering on and why we've been able to make, you know,
to do the things that we've done and to be in the position that we're in. It's been hard.
It has.
But we're getting there. And
But so coming back to this, okay, we talk about how you have to prioritize. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame that MLMs don't look at it in that way and say, okay, guess what? You have to prioritize and you have to be in the moment, you have to be present, and you have to focus on the things of priority. And what those things you focus on will hopefully net you an end result.
Which is why they want you just to focus on them.
It's right. But they don't market it that way.
No.
What the travesty is it's like, oh, you have 20 balls in the air that you need to juggle? You can juggle all 20.
And you can add in another one or two.
And let's teach you how to add in 2 more.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a fallacy. It's a farce. It's not possible. And that's another red flag with the way MLMs market and distribute their coaching to their practitioners, because it's not possible.
Well, and you watch and you think, oh my gosh, why she's doing it? Why can't I do it? And then you start looking, okay, wait though. Mm-hmm. Me doing it, I mean, at that point I was a stay-at-home mom to 5 kids in various ages. We had moved, so we weren't around family. We had an amazing support network with friends, and people that we consider our family now. But it was this, like, is that the same as someone who is working full-time and has kids at home and all of these different things? They make it seem like everyone is on a level playing field. They're not.
That's right.
They're not. If you have a single person who stays home because their spouse works and they're able to focus on this business, they could probably crush it. The amount of time that they could dedicate is completely different to a working mother who is doing her best just to maintain sanity. I mean, when we were both working
full time,
it was exhausting. And by the time we finally got home, we would eat dinner, do homework, go to bed. Weekends were spent doing laundry, doing dishes, cleaning the house, doing our grocery shopping, and getting ready to do it all again. Mm-hmm. Could I have fit this stuff in there? No. Like, I think I probably would have broken at that point if I had tried to do it. And for them to make you feel less than because you're not able to juggle it and they can is horrible. And what they are not showing is the other side of it. They aren't showing that they have 2 nannies. They aren't showing that even though they both are at home, both the husband and the wife, they still take their kids to daycare so that they can both work on the business. They're not showing you those things. They're not talking about those things because it then negates the message that they're trying to put out there.
Well, and I would even venture to say that they're not being honest in their happiness.
Yeah.
The way that they're portraying their life, they're not being honest in what is really happening as a result or a shift from the business itself and what the business is doing to impact the family, the relationships, all of it. And they're not talking about that. And I think that is something that needs to be spoken of more in these type of videos, because the reality is there are some very unhappy people out there.
Well,
and they're trying to figure it out and they don't understand it.
So many of them get divorced. Yep. So many of them have issues because it is not the bed of roses that they're making it out to be. And some of the coaches are able to actually see that coming through in real time.
Yeah.
But then they jump ship and they go to another MLM because you don't see, and what someone said, you think it's because you don't want it bad enough. It's the business structure. It is the business structure of MLM. Unless you go to a brand new one and you're at the tippy top of the pyramid, you're not going to make that money. And then if you do make that money, you have to be okay knowing that your team is not making any of that money. And they say, there's room for everyone at the top. Well, no, because then there's no longer a top. If everyone's there, no one's there. Like, there's not an even playing field. It's not how it works.
So let's visually break this down. The bottom of the pyramid, how wide, how big is it?
Huge.
Can it fit a ton of people on the bottom?
Oh, yeah.
And as the pyramid gets steeper at the top, how many people can fit up there?
Apparently in Beachbody, it's 10. And they're all in Italy. I mean, that's where, like, if you have 400,000 coaches, which who knows how many coaches they actually have now because they haven't updated that number since I was in. You know, they've talked about 400,000 coaches for 7-8 years.
Yeah, yep.
Is that really how many are in? And if that is how many are in, isn't that kind of odd that you have the exact same amount in 8 years? So you're just, what did we say? The hamster wheel?
Yeah, and cycling, burn and churn.
You're just burning and churning and you're staying at the exact same number. But, you know, out of that, you've got 10 people who you're going to recognize as being, you know, and then hold that out as, we should do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see how long have those people been in. Oh, well, some of them have been doing, you know, they've hit elite 10 times. So that tells you something.
Right.
So it's just interesting. And the way that it impacted me, which then rolled into my family, and they, you know, I mean, let's be real. I would say that your family normally takes the brunt end. They
really?
I'm admitting things now. It hurts.
That's what we're doing.
It hurt really bad to say that out loud. But your family does get to celebrate with you.
We've hit that portion of the video.
I'm trying to work up some tears to make him feel a little bit bad. Be like, honey, it's okay. It wasn't okay. It was, none of it was okay. But your family, yes, they're going to celebrate the successes with you, but they are also the ones that take the brunt of it when you are struggling and you're hungry because you can only have a half a banana. And so you're hungry, you're tired, you are probably exhausted from all the workouts because, and like someone mentioned, if you miss a workout, you have to double up the next day. That's not a thing. It's not a thing.
But it is.
It is in the Beachbody world.
It's the community thing. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be.
No.
Please break the cycle.
Right? I mean, and honestly, you guys, I'm still in that, you know, okay, I can work out. I have to work out. I need 30 minutes, you know, a day. And I've had to really rein that in with being injured the last little while. And
Can we get real for a second, though?
Yeah.
Can we? You're going to let me?
It might hurt. Yeah. Be gentle.
I love my wife.
Aww.
And throughout our marriage, you know, there were some image struggles.
Oh, yeah. Body image has always been an issue for me.
And the body image struggles, you know, they creeped their way into intimacy and our relationship.
Absolutely.
As a whole. And I'll be honest with you, for the longest time, I mean, we just, you know, we're coming up on 20 years, and for the longest time, I thought it was me.
Yeah.
And I had to work through a lot of things because she's like, Kern, it's not you. And I'm like,
how can it not be me?
How can it not be me? Because every time we turn around, it's, well, and this isn't to be mean to my wife, but it was, I have a headache, or I have this, or I've got this going on, and I've later learned
it was because I was uncomfortable with me.
Exactly.
And so that spilled over.
There were so many things, and that's what people aren't talking about. These things,
yeah.
They're not talking about the devastation and the impact that this type of business brings to their coaches, to their people, because it's devastating.
Well, and that's really why
it's so bad.
You know, I think Beachbody is one of the worst because it truly hits you in every aspect of your life.
Yeah,
it's hitting you, the financial, the mental, the emotional, the physical. Like, it plays these mind games with you in every area possible. Yep. But then we just need to be positive, and it's going to work out. And it's like, no, I'm going to need therapy for years to undo what happened and the situation I put myself in, and then the things that I perpetuated and continued, because I truly bought it. I bought that it was going to work for me and that I could help other people get it too. And I truly think that the coaches, by and large, have the best of intentions. Yeah. There are some of the coaches that I think are crap. Like, honestly, I think that they truly are predators and prey on people, and they know what's happening and they know what they're doing.
Well,
but that's the exception, I think.
When someone yells at you, to be positive.
Or like, if you say anything negative, I'm kicking you out of the group.
Right. And so here's this
what?
amount of intimidation tactics being used to force positive reinforcement. Yeah. You're like, hold the phone. I don't think you understand what positive reinforcement means.
Or I will help you with your business if you meet these goals.
Yeah.
How do I meet those goals so that I can get your help to meet those goals? What? Yeah. Like, it doesn't make sense. But yet it made sense to me when I was in. And now that I'm on this side of it, I'm looking going, man, that was something. And it's because I wanted more. I wanted to be better physically, financially, mentally. Like, I wanted that. Mm-hmm. And I felt.
But let's be honest, what person doesn't?
Right. And they promise that. Mm-hmm. And they can't fulfill it. In my opinion. Well,
I'm sure now, you've been with us for 46 minutes through this video. I'm sure you're thinking, all right, Ren, how did you last this long? I mean, if I was someone watching this video with everything that we've just shared in the 46 minutes we've been on, I would be asking the question, how
did we survive this?
How did we survive this? So Amy, how did we survive this?
By the grace of God. I think because I have married the most patient, understanding man who has been willing to deal with my craziness for 20 years. Because he knew and he held out the hope that I would see the light. And that, I think because of the way that we have been able to talk and communicate through it, because even though you get in and you're in it, there is still that voice in the back of your head that's like, all right, you've gone around the bend, you're crazy, stop it. But it does take a while to pull yourself out of that. And for me, it took having catastrophic physical injuries before I saw.
I think that's been the hardest part.
Yeah.
One, I'm watching her go through this. I'm watching her physically break down, which then triggers a mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching her go through this and I'm thinking to myself, I can't do anything. I have no control over what is happening to her and how to fix it. I can't fix it. There's nothing I can say or do. And I will be honest with you, I held her.
Wow.
That was it. I mean,
and that's what we really have just had to do is just be willing to be like, okay, when you're ready, I'm here. And, and we don't have to get a divorce over the chocolate bar that I ate that you had hidden. That's a story.
Are we ending on that story? Because that's a funny story.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
She was so mad.
I've never been that mad in my entire life.
I've never seen her that. I was like, oh, I've done something terribly wrong.
And he's like, what is...
How do I take it back?
You can't throw it up. It's not going to make it better. So this was during the throes of keto. And anyone who is on keto will tell you, the one treat that you're going to be able to do is Lily's chocolate bars. Yep. Because the net carbs on them, all of it, oh god, the mental games. So I was saving. I had was it a sea salt and caramel or something?
Sea salt and caramel, absolutely.
That I had.
You have that burned into my brain.
He'll never forget it.
No.
And I had purchased it, and you guys, they're expensive.
They are.
It's $5 for a stupid chocolate bar. Anyway, so I had it saved, hidden in the fridge, and I came in and he was eating it, and I lost it. Yeah. I was so mad at him because you're not even doing keto, and you took my one joy and you ate it. And he was just staring at me like, are you okay? No, I'm not. You have to go buy me another one right now. He's like, I know it's been in there for a while. I was saving it and it was special. He's like, it's a candy bar. It was a lot more than that when you hadn't eaten candy in a long time. It was awful. And I think it is kind of a good description and kind of a good way to end on, in that you truly get so deep in that you don't realize how irrational you sound until you then play it back later and you're like, I was really yelling and crying about a chocolate bar. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was allowing that to come in, but like in between us and in our relationship, it's a chocolate bar. It's okay. Things are going to be okay. But yeah.
Well, I think this has been a good...
It has. It's been super fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you going to have me on more of your videos?
Heck yeah.
Because I think I bring, a commentary.
It's true. And a good, a good perspective on that is obviously going to be different than mine.
Well, I was the outsider always looking in.
And yeah. And I think too, getting our kids. So we'll do one. I know our 18-year-old said, she's like, oh, I'll totally do it. Our 16-year-old said, I will do it, but I don't want to be on camera. So you may hear them.
You'll hear their voice, but
yeah,
that's going to get interesting. All right. I might have to sit in on that.
Which will be hard because then they'll be like pulling faces and doing things and I'll be laughing. People are going to be like, what's going on? And it's because they're amazing.
Wait, you're by yourself? Why? What's happening?
They are amazing, but
yeah,
don't want to be on camera, which I totally respect. That's another thing. Boundaries. And we'll talk about that. There are no boundaries.
We really could just keep going.
There are no boundaries. And you see this with so many of them filming their kids all the time.
Yeah.
And do their kids really want to be filmed?
They don't.
Some of them do.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah, but the novelty does eventually.
Yeah. Like I'm telling you, our 10-year-old, she'll be 11 next week. She would
She would do it.
She would do it in a heartbeat. But our 8-year-old doesn't want to be on film. They don't want to be recorded.
I mean, honestly, I don't.
He didn't. He would get so annoyed when I'd be like, "Oh, you need to do this with me," and he'd be like, "No." So this one is fun because he's like, "You're going to let me tell the truth? I can say whatever I want."
Yes.
Oh my gosh! All right, if you guys had fun, we will do this again for sure.
No.
Hopefully, not talk for 52 minutes.
Yeah, well.
But I think answering these questions and really acknowledging the manipulation and the thoughts that people were willing to share with me today,
mm-hmm.
and to let people know that you're not alone. If you're feeling all of these things, you're not alone. And there's a whole community out here who's willing and ready to support you with no strings attached.
That's right.
We're not doing this to make money. I'm doing it to right wrongs. And so that I can get information out and tell you things that I wish I had known then.
And I will tell you that everything we talked about, everything that was shared with her, mm-hmm. we experienced.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there wasn't one of those items that we looked at and were like, huh, we didn't experience that.
That's weird.
No, yeah.
Yeah. We were like, oh man.
Yeah. Oh, that one hit hard.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one and enjoyed our banter back and forth. Make sure like, comment, subscribe. You can turn on notifications. I am not even gonna lie. It's gonna get interesting as summer unfolds, and we do have 5 children at home, and how that's gonna work with filming, I don't know. This is all new. So no promises, but when we do upload things, they're gonna be pretty amazing. I mean, we're pretty awesome. All right. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and let me know what you guys thought. Talk to you later.